10,
9, 8,
7,
6,
3,
2,
1.
0.
Hello, Dash League. Welcome back to a beautiful day here in the Dash League Network. We're excited to have you here. We're currently in Season 6, and we are in middle of playoffs right now. This time in Sprinter Tier, matchup between Life and Supernova. Currently in the booth with me today is Not Gollum.
What is up? Yeah, I've been looking forward to this match for a while. This rematch for a while between Life and Supernova. We saw them play earlier in the season, before leading up to the playoffs here, and that was an exciting, tight match in itself. There's some different maps from what we're going to be seeing today, but I'm expecting some very fun, exciting plays out of both of these teams here. Let's take a look at the lineups real quick. We've got over on Life, Night Owl, Caged Birdie, Anonymous, Persona, and F2P. Arguably, I'd think that is Life's strongest lineup, or one of their strongest lineups at this moment in time. Over on Supernova, Raptor Ryan, Tyler, C2, Push, and Anonymous also bringing their A game over on Supernova. So it looks like they have Volcano selected first. Are they going to be starting with the domination, do you think?
They are starting with the domination. The map order changes during playoffs, and we've been seeing some weird rhythms and patterns. Makes things a little exciting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, notably for that previous matchup that they had, it was a canyon and waterway, so completely different flip-flop matches from today. First map being the volcano, and then we'll be moving on to a launch pad. So there are specific choices to them, hopefully trying to mix it up. Life did take the edge, spoiler alert, last time in a 2-1 victory, but man, all maps were fairly close.
Yeah, and Volcano being the newest map in the game thus far means there's a lot of opportunity for teams to bring off strategies, unexpected strategies that can really catch teams off guard, given that we've only really had this season to study and practice this map. That being said, we are at the end of the season. The teams have had plenty of time to develop strategies, to look at what's working and not working for other teams too, and to study each other during this season, since every team has played this map 4 times. So I'm I'm excited to see what Life is going to bring to the table here. If I'm being honest, Supernova is some solid contenders, but given what I've seen out of Life here, I'm going to give them the advantage on this domination, especially with this lineup. Owl and F2P within their own rights are really, really solid and dangerous players, especially on maps where they can bounce all over the place and that are a lot more kill focused than a payload map can be. Supernova, meanwhile, I think really has a solid opportunity to bring things back in the payload if they even lose this domination in the first place. As I understand it, was it Life that chose Volcano as their domination choice?
It was, and they actually played this earlier in their tier in the quarterfinals against Limbo, and it was a 3-1 for them. So, and they've played before in the season. Life is very comfortable with Volcano, but with the recent additions, I think you're right, Life aren't quite as used to their lineup as Supernova might be. So I think it might be slightly on the edge of Supernova on that payload, and more on the edge of domination for Life.
Yeah, and importantly here, no matter which team wins or loses, both of them still have one more match left after this. The winner, of course, is going to be facing UNSC, as we can see on the bracket above, but the loser is still going to be fighting against Southern Cross for that 3rd place in a Sprinter tier, and so we're going to be looking forward to that after this. No team is out of the running. But that said, we still have an entire match to get through before that. Let's start this Volcano here with Life on red, Supernova on blue. F2P going to be going through that attic area along with, I believe that's Persona, and we can see Raptor Ryan in the bottom right going towards Life's base. Life has some early control and an early countdown as well. Good counter there out of Supernova, but F2P is still tearing things up around the button. Good last second counter there. Supernova is struggling to try and get the momentum back into their favor with only 2 players left alive. Life gets the first point already. You can see exactly why they chose this map. They are locked in. C2 and Tyler are doing their best to try and rein their team in, but they're going to have to change something up, Supernova is, if they want to prevent such an early rush as that. Life just got the momentum and did not give it back.
Yeah, that was a 30-second point there. That's something you don't see on Volcano very often. That's kind of rare. It's clear they have things planned out, and Supernova hopefully will have time to adjust, but man, this strong start from Life.
Yeah, and Supernova just lost the armor there too. We saw that on F2P's POV. It seems like he's kind of the perfect person to watch at this time, as nobody on Supernova has even touched him at this point thus far, completely locking down the B button. And meanwhile, Supernova seems to be kind of building their strategy at this point in the mid game around letting Life more or less have B and trying to move around it instead. We can see Supernova players occasionally get through and flank around, but really it's been players going back and forth around Supernova's own button and Life's button. Just now taking out F2P for the first time this entire match. They now have control of B, but Owl is back and F2P has respawned as well. Good counter out of push there. Is going to try and play for time, and hopefully his team can get one of the other buttons. Good counter there on B once again, but Life is still tearing things up with such dominant control of the field. Supernova is struggling to get this any sort of serious presence on this B button, and certainly it does not have a serious presence around B button while they control Life's base. They've just been held up in so many places. It seems, though, that they are starting to switch things up here. They have, according to the minimap, they had several players around that B button. Just now losing control with Raptor Ryan stuck below at the armor. Is now going to try and pop up with the rest of those Life players still hanging out around that button. The Supernova gets B. And I think one thing I'm noticing, Kastle, I think I've said it a little bit, but just not as explicitly as now, is that Supernova just has not had any serious control of Life's base. Or no, of their own base. Is that what C is? Is their own base? There's 2 Life players
They
there.
have opposite bases right now.
Wow. Life is just holding down Supernova's base like absolute menaces. Good counter out of Life there, excuse me. And now Owl is going to try and lock things down. Good kill on Raptor Ryan there. Now the forward momentum is in Life's favor. A few counters out of Supernova there, but Owl is still too nice with that long-range accuracy and that fast fire rate. Life has all but locked down this B button and now is moving forward into Supernova's spawn, hoping that one of their players is going to move around and get Supernova's button, which so far Life does not have control of. And good countdown out of Supernova. I think something that they've changed up might be working, as we've seen multiple countdowns in a row out of Supernova. None of them have turned into points, but they've had the countdowns. Life, meanwhile, has not had any long-lasting countdowns up to this point. They've had control of their own button and the B button, or Supernova's button and the B button, but they haven't really had control of all 3 for any amount of time since that first point in the beginning of this one.
Yeah, and one thing I'm noticing is Life is starting to seem a little bit confused here. Their initial rollouts have been good, but they're playing a little bit too reactive to what Supernova is doing at the time, and they're losing button focus on whatever button. Oh, a countdown by Supernova just barely countered there, but they almost lost that one. You need to tighten it up a little.
I'm starting to wonder if Life might be putting too much effort into spawn camping. We saw 3, almost 4 players right in front of Supernova's spawn, and Supernova got a countdown because of that. That just shows how dominant Life is in the kill category, but how something that Supernova has changed up here is actually working better for them despite that. And Supernova's actually got some of they've got a win condition here, despite how much players like Owl and F2P are tearing things up directly in their spawn. C2, good defensive play there, is really locking into playing defensively here actually, and is moving forward cautiously. I think just trying to prevent reinforcements hitting the B button. Almost takes out Owl. Oh, good kill there, but Persona does follow up, and Life has control of B. Once again, Persona goes for the double charge shot, does not hit it. Does go for the button hold there, but nobody on Life is moving towards C just yet. Now Supernova actually has control of B for the time being. If they can sneak somebody past, which according to the minimap doesn't look like it's going to be happening anytime soon, then they could be getting a countdown, but Supernova has been struggling thus far just to get control of B and hold their own button. And it's been more than difficult to try and get a player past the rolling offensive defense, I think is the best way to describe it, of Life. At this point, they're starting to adapt little by little, but it's looking at this rate, the longer that the map goes, the better Supernova's chances of actually winning the domination despite that brutal opener. There is a countdown for Life, though. Something changed, and they got the second point already, just as I was saying that. Just a perfect series of kills in a row completely wiped Supernova off the map, and now Life is in their third rollout with potential for a victory right here.
And yeah, that's their second point based off of a team wipe right now. Life depending on that team wipe to get them that point. Have a little time struggling with the counters from Supernova. But Supernova, they did a fantastic job on that second point. Holding off Life, getting their own counters. They really adjusted just like you would expect from a domination.
Whoa, C2 tearing things up. I think that was 4 players in a row he killed on that opener. F2P being the last one alive does eventually get taken out, and now Supernova is contesting the B button. Life reinforcements are flooding in, but they're getting taken out. They're in a bad position, but a couple solid plays out of F2P gives control of B to Life. A lot of players on Supernova trying to sneak past him, knowing he's low on dashes, and Supernova does get B, but F2P is not gone, almost falling into that lava there. There we go. Okay, gets that health. Supernova has their own button, and briefly had Life's as well, but a countdown for Life is going to put the pressure on Supernova, who only has 2 players left alive at this point. A button hold out of F2P.
Just
only push! And Life gets the 3rd point. Nice play there. Wow. That middle point, though, that had me stressing.
That was. They put a lot of pressure on all the buttons this time. Life adjusted to that, and they just finished it off. 3-0 sweep in favor of Life. Looking at scores right now, top scoring is Persona going 19-16, but with a nice 6,000 point score, leading the entire map right now. Top fragging would be F2P, 26-12. And I gotta say, just looking at his form, he was in absolute top form today. Over on Supernova's side, Push to no surprise, leading in score 17-15, an absolute menace. And C2 been doing a lot this season, showing it here in the playoffs with 22-19.
Yeah, and we saw that when we looked at F2P and C2's POVs during that not just their ability to kill was significant, but where they killed made a huge difference for their respective teams. A couple multi kills in a row gave tons of control and momentum to their respective teams. But ultimately, Life is going to take that first map. That was their map of choice, though, and Supernova has the chance to tie things up map victory-wise on this launchpad.
And Launchpad has been a long-standing, familiar map with Supernova. This is a map that they've played time and time again in previous seasons. Supernova, well, actually both Supernova and Life are not unfamiliar with playing at this highest level of competition in this league. And their map choice in Launchpad demonstrates their abilities. And I think it's going to be a good one. Things to look out for in particular, Push. We always know him for his rockets, but man, on Launchpad, he absolutely shines. C2, Raptor Ryan, Tyler, these guys in close range. Anonymous, you know, taking that mid-range fight, taking those peeks around the corner. Life will have their work cut out for them today. And really, it's going to be a question about how coordinated can Life be with this lineup that they may not be too familiar with versus Supernova's more kind of experienced lineup.
Indeed, yeah. And I noticed that Life at the moment. They've got a solid lineup, but they don't have Top Star. Historically, as I understand it, Top
Yes.
Star has been a keystone player on payloads for Life.
Top Star, they're Rocketeer. Consistently, the combination in seasons past has usually been Al and Top Star. You know, that frontline Night Owl. The back line is Top Star. And between those two, they fill in the gaps, and with solid performances, that's where they found success. But with newer additions like Persona, F2P, Caged Bird, even Anonymous this season, I'm certain a lot of roles have to have been mixed up. But I think, you know, I know F2P in seasons past, he's been a pretty decent Rocketeer themselves. Persona, of course, with the shocks, specialty weapons from Caged Birdie and Anonymous. I think they'll be able to fulfill the role. Maybe not to quite the level of Top Star, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I mean, that being said, I'm sure both these teams have studied each other at least a little bit before this match, but not having that pretty obvious Rocketeer out of Top Star can shake things up a little bit, I would expect, and make it a little bit more difficult to lock down one specific player as who to take out, as oftentimes that can actually be an issue for teams. If you know exactly who to expect and how they're going to play, you can kind of act around that. But if there's multiple players who can take up these different roles, that gives a lot more flexibility to your team, especially, I think, is that that's important when you're on the defense like Life is now. Supernova, meanwhile, a lot of solid players here, is not going to be switching up any of their lineup for this second map.
Life has been a lot of this season with a really interesting combination of players, and I think this will work out for them. Consistently had to play different roles, and that's actually one of the reasons probably why they're in Sprinter tier at this point, is because they've spent most of the season just trying to get players into their matches, you know. Supernova, however, has been a little more consistent on that front, playing a more standard rollout. I mean, Push, C2, Raptor, Ryan, these names you commonly see on scoreboards in their matches. Anonymous, Tyler, you see these names lie as well. These guys have been playing. Of course, we don't see some top players from Supernova, you know, names such as Boy Doy or David Mason. These guys usually would be on there, but they're bringing a very familiar lineup.
Yes, indeed. And that's how you know this is going to be a good map. That being said, everybody who's watching this, I know you guys appreciate this league and these streams and videos as much as we do. So show your appreciation by leaving comments, leaving likes on the videos too. There's 24 people watching this video, 9 likes. And I know you guys enjoy this as much as we do, and we'd love to see you show your appreciation for this league and this exciting match that we're watching here and now, and both teams are gearing up to perform their best today for you, our lovely audience. So thank you for watching, and thank you for showing your appreciation here. Taking a look at the poll here, since I wasn't sure whether the launchpad or the volcano was going to be played first, I started a little poll, and it seemed like it was a pretty balanced expectation of which team is going to take the launchpad here. 50% both ways. 50% voting for Supernova, 50% voting that they think launchpad is going to be the map taken by Life here as the second map. So I'm curious to see whether the whether the viewers are going to be accurate on this one. That
usually,
being said,
in my experience, a lot of the voting has been almost opposite of the
so that's why that 50-50 split might actually work in favor of both teams, because whoever they vote for might actually be wrong.
We'll have to see. What I really suspect is I think both teams are I think it's gonna be a post checkpoint push towards the 80s and 90s. With teams this even, especially on payloads, you know. Launchpad is, in my opinion, the easiest payload to get through. But however, that 100% is really difficult with even, and we're gonna see a lot of heavies today. I think it's gonna be both teams ending up somewhere in the 80s, 90s, and probably within just a couple percent of each other, if even that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, really, with that note about the checkpoint, I feel like kind of the benchmark that if there's any one small section of the map that is the most important to pay attention to the percentages on, it's the 85 to 91 or 92% mark, because that is when the cart starts to become fully exposed to the red team's second spawn, when red team can just roll out of spawn in 1 or 2 dashes and start shooting that cart, versus on the high end, once that cart's shield turns towards that spawn, a cart can just roll forward. And if you have a little bit of time left at that point, you can actually get really close to the 100% mark and get way more movement than you could in the previous couple of percentages leading up to it when the cart was super exposed. So if either team starts to make it to that point and gets a really good couple of pushes in a lucky few moments, it can be really difficult for the other team to follow up and make it to that point. So I'm curious to see if the carts are going to get stopped kind of at that standard 85, 86% mark, or if either team is going to try and make a break for turning the cart around that final corner. That being said, if either team doesn't make it past the checkpoint, that's going to be a brutal way to start this map, given what's generally expected here. If Supernova doesn't make it through that checkpoint with a decent amount of time, I'm going to be a little worried for them here.
Yeah, that would be a huge game changer, that checkpoint. And not only that, but with time. You know, you don't want to just make checkpoint if possible. Got to make checkpoint with time. Those minutes, 2 minutes remaining, you know, play a huge part getting past that 86%. You know, it's interesting.
It has a long way to go after checkpoint.
It's interesting. You know, the distance that you progress is almost the same from the 86% to 100% as it is sometimes from 0% all the way to the 80% with just how hard it is to break through.
Yeah. So that being said, it looks like both teams are making a friendship circle in the middle, trying to hold hands and show their appreciation for each other. A little kumbaya here, if you will. And starting things up with Life on red, Supernova on blue, pushing the cart. Here we go. As always, the opener is also going to be very telling of how the rest of this map is going to go, especially the first section of this map. If Life is able to hold for any serious amount of time using the house on the bottom left side of the minimap that we'll be seeing soon enough, then Supernova is really going to struggle in the later sections of the map. That's just generally a signifier of how well they're going to do. That being said, we are going to start here with a lot of Life players in this bottom house and a double stack on the cart.
I don't know if I've seen that setup very often. They were all outside of the lower house and then they entered immediately as the round started.
Okay, Life still plenty of people alive around that cart, and the cart did briefly get stopped. C2 raising hands. Oh, okay.
Right.
Something must have happened. I wonder, maybe Push got kicked out of the lobby or something, or their headset crashed because they didn't have any kills or any deaths, but a bit of a strange circumstance here.
Yeah, it looks like there's some technical difficulties from C2.
No, C2 is still in here. Who hopped out? Raptor Ryan, Bill, Push?
I don't know if it's someone hopped out, but let me see.
It was
looks like
Tyler.
C2's adjusting something right here. I think he's the problem. He's our issue here. Let me see if we can find the perspective from his. Yeah, right here. So
okay,
C2
Tyler's back in. Well, that's a good remembering of the signals. That's important that you that teams keep in mind. That signal of technical difficulties at the very beginning of a map is there for a reason.
Well, looks like everyone's active. Yeah, okay, we will be starting again in round 2. We'll see if Live uses the exact same setup, or did they just give, or did Supernova get a little bit of advantage there?
That'll be important to keep in mind. So far, Just Drums and F2P both going for that shotgun there. It seemed like a very shotgun heavy opener out of Life with Persona on the shocks, and otherwise I'm going to be paying a little bit closer attention to the minimap here in terms of whether most of Life is going to be inside or outside that house, and if anybody's going to be holding back. As you can see, number 3, whoever that is on the minimap, is way back in the shield room, ready to pop out and trying to prevent any sort of serious flank out of Supernova. Just Drums still holding the bottom house down, gets another kill on C2. The cart only just now getting stopped with Supernova trying to follow up but Just Drums didn't need to peek out just yet. Looks like Tyler hopped off the cart. No kills out of Just Drums. Oh no. Now the cart is rolling forward, and Just Drums is low on dashes, low on health. Oh, a fortunate kill out of Tyler. You can see Tyler was about to pull that trigger. The cart has been moving forward semi-consistently, but Life has been very good about holding this house. Good kill out of C2, though, on Just Drums, who is causing a fair bit of trouble for the team in blue. And now C2 is locked in on Persona, the last player who was alive in the house, and now Supernova, hopefully counting their kills, is going to be flying forward down that main rail, trying to take out the Rockets wherever they may be. Good kill on Night Owl there. Rockets do make it past to the cart, but there's no other red players to back them up. Good kill by Persona, taking out C2, who was causing a lot of trouble there. Another kill on Tyler as well. Persona almost taking out, but Push ran out of bullets. Finally does get that kill, and the cart is still moving forward consistently. Good headshots out of Push as well. Life has struggled to get this main rail back. As soon as one player goes down for blue, another player takes their place, and that is exactly what you want when you're at such a serious spawn advantage around the objective and a spawn disadvantage in pressuring your opponents. That was a wickedly fortunate team fight for Supernova, who killed pretty much all of Life, but meanwhile the one most important player, I would argue, to survive was the Rocketeer, and that is why the cart has been briefly stopped here, and Supernova has not been able to continue flying forward as they have for most of the rest of this map. Oh, what? Tyler was in their spawn. Oh my goodness, so disrespectful. But that's almost exactly what you need. You need some sort of off play, if you can manage it, to kind of put the enemy team out of their comfort zone. They just now started to adapt to this rapid aggression on the part of Supernova, and switching things up can give you a solid advantage in terms of momentum, which is something you really need at this point in the map, as the cart has been stopped for quite a few seconds in a row, and the Rockets are on point out of Topstar, who has hopped into this match. I only just now realized that Topstar is actually in here as the Rocketeer, and that is a really important boon on the part of Supernova.
I think this is actually their absolute top lineup now. I've never seen these combination of 4 players, but they're stopping it. It's stuck at the bridge. 3 minutes. We could be looking at a potential checkpoint here unless Supernova does something really strong here in the next couple minutes.
And that's the thing you were talking about earlier that's really important, that the momentum stay in the blue team's favor for as long as possible on this pre-checkpoint, because once double rockets with dashes get set up, and once the rest of red team kind of gets into the flow of defending that Rocketeer properly, then they can be an absolute menace on the cart, unless they get a little bit too out of position and get killed by a player like Raptor Ryan. I like F2P stopping the cart with the shield, though. That made a huge difference, and now there's just enough time for Topstar to get back to the
2K with
rocket.
that. 2K, while using his shield, stopping the cart the whole time. That was an excellent defensive play on F2P's part.
Good shot kills out of C2, trying to deal with that shield, and now trying to pressure the Rockets out of position. The Rockets do get a hit on the cart, and I like the split focus out of Life as well. Sometimes teams can get hyper-focused on one direction or another when the momentum is in the other team's favor, but if not the whole blue team is alive around that cart, you can afford to split focus while you're respawning. Push and C2 getting ready for a nasty flank here. Just Drums does spot one of them, but doesn't know where C2 is, going after those rockets, presumably all of the rest of Supernova around the cart. Just as I was saying earlier that the split focus was working in Life's favor, just now that the rest of the team seemed to split up just a little bit too much, and Supernova got some good movement on the cart. That being said, Owl is putting some forward pressure, and good double kill out of Raptor Ryan, trying to take out those shields.
Oh my god.
Whoa, another
Raptor
kill
Ryan.
by
This is a
Raptor
huge
Ryan.
push
Good
for
movement
Supernova.
on this cart.
my
Another
gosh,
kill
Raptor Ryan.
by the Rocketeer in blue. Raptor Ryan finally taken out, but the rest of Supernova following up on this objective. Push does get a kill on F2P, and the Rockets are trying to fly forward to stop this forward momentum. And they do just about manage to do it with only one Supernova player left alive, but that was a good push out of Supernova. They've got about 1 minute on the clock. If this next push does it, then I'd say they're making it through the checkpoint with a decent amount of time. Any more time wasted here, though, is going to hurt them in the post-checkpoint, and at this point in time with the setup that Life has, that looks like it may be the case. They're so close to making it through, but they just might not quite make it, especially if individual players keep losing fights to the absolute killer that is Owl. Owl eventually going down to the Rockets, who are still alive. Tries to get a hit on the cart, does kill a couple, but C2 does get taken out by Just Drums, and just like that, the momentum is back for Life once again. Less than 30 seconds left on the clock. Supernova is trying to race the team in red to the cart before they can set up, but I think they just need to be a little bit more patient if they want to actually make it through this checkpoint, because at this rate, Life might actually hold them from getting it. Supernova is desperately flying forward to this cart, one after another, into the meat grinder and almost making it through, but only really on mistakes on Life's part and not any particular strong plays out of Supernova. 1 second left on the clock. They need the overtime, and they get pre-checkpointed. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. That was a suffocating defense, and they were down a player too. A power play in that last few seconds. Supernova unable to get through. Life hold them. And you know, this is actually a little surprising because Raptor Ryan had an excellent play there on that offense, taking the Rockets away from Life. So, but we saw some excellent late stage plays there, taking out those heavies, and it just worked towards Life's favor.
Yeah, absolutely. And even outside of taking the rocket away, Raptor Ryan made some great use of it on the cart. But now, down one player, Life has their work cut out for them, trying to beat that pace to just before making it through the checkpoint. Supernova does have the opportunity to hold them here, but it looks like Life just got their 5th player back just in the nick of time. The cart is continuing to move forward slowly but surely, but not quite with the intense focus that Supernova had at this point in time. It looks like Life is really trying to focus in on getting a clear here, which so far is actually working out to their benefit, as now they're able to semi-comfortably double stack onto the cart, and Topstar flying forward down that main rail is not going to let Supernova have this shield room for free. Good rockets out of Bill Lumber with the shield as well is going to try to make their way to cart, but a shield down main rail does not, or down high rail does not make you invincible and immune to bullets. There's only so much that even the best shield players can cover their body when their movement is so predictable on a rail like that. And Life is so far making a fantastic time out of the spawn.
Yeah, I don't think Cart's only been stopped once since they've been out of there. They had excellent control, but those rockets coming in from push, now they got to contend with this. And the rest of this game is going to be about taking push down and Supernova defending him at all cost.
Oh, and the rockets do go down. There's a shield on cart out of Bill, but nobody there to protect him, and now the cart is moving forward once again. Good rockets out of C2, though. That's exactly what you need if you're Supernova in this position. You need multiple players who can use those rockets. As much split focus out of the team in blue as possible is going to give you the best chance for rockets surviving. Persona almost taking out those rockets, does not quite do it. The cart is continuing to move forward at a slightly faster pace than Supernova made at this point in time, but C2 with a well-timed kill on F2P does start to get the momentum back into his team's favor, and Raptor Ryan, along with Bill Lumber, double stacking this cart as red. Both of them get wiped, and the rest of Life is all grouped together, moving forward on that objective. Push is trying to pull focus away as much as possible, just draw attention to themselves. Here I am, if you hop on that cart, I'm going to kill you with just my left hand. So please do it, or please chase me. Either way, I'm going to be making some time for my team. Owl responding to that chase does get the kill, and now Raptor Ryan trying to hop on that cart is not quite able to contest with F2P by themselves. That is what your teammates are for, trying to hit the shield from the direction that they're not protecting themselves. Owl is now solo down main rail, the rest of his team flying behind him, ready to push all together. This is some very controlled movement out of Life, and that is exactly why they're doing just a little bit better than Supernova at this point in time. Something needs to change for the team in red if they want the opportunity to actually hold this cart pre-checkpoint. Good
Slow
plays
down a
out
little
of
here as they
Owl.
come around the bend. They had over a minute, or over 4 minutes they're coming, but they're really getting slowed down by this amount of heavies that Supernova is bringing to the table. I haven't seen a really strong forward line from Life on this push. So they really need to get into that flank and really set up that disruption.
I think something that's really helping out Supernova here is the consistency with the shield play out of Bill, and the consistency with the hitting of the cart out of Push with the rocket shotgun. That's actually a very smart but unexpected gun combination, in my opinion. Having one other player follow up as a secondary Rocketeer also has been a huge boon for Supernova. That means one player can play rockets super close to the wire and pull attention away from the objective in a way that just hitting it from far away with rockets they can't
saw
do.
A big disruption for Night Owl coming into the back, and it's nearly a team wipe. They've got an opportunity to get some movement, to just get some bodies on cart here. But unfortunately, it looks like Supernova managed to set back up where they get back to the cart.
Bill, almost getting taken out by that rocket shield out of F2P. Seems to be the counter shield strategy there. It's a shield player versus shield player. But Raptor Ryan also more than comfortable hopping on that objective. Top star though, nobody fully countering him, does get that little bit more movement. And the way Life is moving, they're on track to make it through for a victory. They don't actually have to make it through the checkpoint like during the midseason. They just have to make it to the point that Supernova did with less time, or in the overtime even if it's less than 100%, which it certainly is here. Good flanks out of Life right here. Almost gets the kill on Push, but Push has too many dashes. Oh, but Just Drums does take out the rockets, and the rest of Supernova is struggling to follow up. They got fully team wiped. The card is double stacked. 1 minute left on the clock, and Just Drums is still tearing things up. The card is continuing to move forward. Supernova finally stopping it, but Just Drums was not stopped.
And they're not able to get the defense back. Just Drums taking them all the way to the lead. And that's a win. Oh my gosh. Just Drums with a 5K, taking out rockets, going in, taking the resources. And that was, oh man, that was excellent. Supernova unable to get back on their heels.
Absolutely. That was some solid plays out of Life on blue and red. That was fantastic to watch. That being said, over on Supernova, C2 is second from the top killing in the entire lobby. Certainly top killing and top scoring on his team. 42 kills, 35 deaths, 4,900 score. Over on Life, top killer is Top Star, 48 and 27. But Owl top scoring for his team. A lot of objective-based kills and a lot of shots during that match. That was something else. Life really played their hearts out here, and Supernova made a good show of it. Did not make it easy in the least, and still has the opportunity to take third against Southern Cross. Meanwhile, Life will be moving on to the finals.
Absolutely. Hey man, that was an intense match. Both teams just absolutely throwing themselves at that payload. It's exactly the type of pace and competitive play that you want to see in this type of league.
Yeah, all that being said, thank you all for watching. Be sure to check out the next couple matches as they show up, the finals and third place matches for all the respective tiers. I've been Not Gollum.
I've been Kastle.
And we'll see you on the next one.